Welcome back to Writing Wednesdays at the University of Stuttgart Sprachenzentrum. Today I thought we'd try a topic of the difference between academic essay writing and grant writing. Academic essays are, of course, the publications that you do after you complete your research in a journal or something to that effect. And grant writing is when you're hoping to get funding for your research or to have your research approved by the university or by a professor so that you can continue. Academic essays, because they report research that's already taken place, they report the past, whereas grant writing really focuses on the future. Academic essays focus on theory and thesis. They're meant to be an exercise of intellect, whereas a grant would focus on aims and activities. This is a very important difference because you don't want your grant writing to be too dry, too boring, too technical. You want it to be somewhat exciting. Not artificially exciting, but you should let your enthusiasm show in your grant writing. Academic essays have a neutral, scholarly tone, whereas grant writing has a persuasive tone. Persuasion means I need to convince the reader to come with me, I need to convince the reader to take action, I need to convince the reader to believe me. Where academic essays explain, grant writing is meant to sell. We don't want to make it into a completely commercial enterprise, but you are essentially trying to convince someone to give you money or convince someone to give you approval, and so there is a certain amount of selling involved in that. Academic essays are supposed to inspire thought. My idea with an academic essay is I hope that someone goes home after reading this and thinks about it and has some ideas about it, maybe approaches me at a conference and wants to discuss the ideas further. Whereas with grant writing, I want them to become excited about my project. I want them to think about how they can make my project come to fruition so that we can discuss those ideas afterwards. Academic writing is supposed to be really objective, sort of cold, a little bit on the dry side. It's a report. Whereas grant writing needs to be exciting, it needs to be easy to understand, and it needs to be very accessible. An academic essay is something that should be understood by most people in your field. But when you consider grant writing, you need to think about who is evaluating your grant. And in many cases, those people are non-experts. So you really want to avoid specialized terms and jargon that those people may not understand. The tone is completely different. And there's a certain personal element in grant writing. Of course, most grants require you to include a CV of the principal investigators. The personal element in grant writing is very present. Whereas in academic writing, we try to be more objective. There's far more passive voice. Whereas here you will have a lot more active voice. You want people to be inspired to activity, not inspire people to be passive about what you write. If you were going to buy one book, there's a lot of books on grant writing. This is the one that I recommend, the one that I get a lot of ideas from. This is the Grant Writer's Handbook, How to Write a Research Proposal and Succeed. This would be helpful if you're going to buy one book to put on your shelf to get started writing grant proposals in English. I hope this information was a little bit helpful. Of course, we offer a corrector service in the English department of the University of Stuttgart Sprachenzentrum, so you can always send us your grant proposal. We can tell you how much it would cost to evaluate and help correct it, and then we could help you get you on your way to hopefully a successful grant. Thanks for watching, and next week we'll have something new.